Shalom, I'm giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the Wadi Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. These are the days, minutes, hours leading to the return of the one who the world calls Jesus Christ. This is something that just happened recently at this South Carolina versus Texas A&M football game, and you have this Edomite officer, and he basically tried to bully these Judites for no reason. You know, dude just scored a touchdown and he's limping, he's injured, so he's trying to slow himself down to get into the tunnel. And you have number 27, he actually moves out the way and the officer shoulder bumps them and then still points at them, you know, and gets frustrated with them, you know, bullying. And, you know, he's an officer. I'm sure he makes a lot of money and things like that, probably $70 to $60, $80 per hour. That's on the low end, probably touching at 90 to 100 per hour. A trooper, whatever you have you. So he's making good money. He's probably doing very good for himself, probably got a wife and kids. But, you know, his hatred for Jacob, you know, it seeped out. And, you know, this was just an example because who knows if they were all Edomites and maybe this was the BYU team or the Duke University team or whatever, would he have reacted like this? If an Edomite scored a touchdown and was slowing down, would he have just came in shoulder checking stuff? And who knows? More than likely, I don't think so, you know. But, yeah, let's watch this video.
At 7:13, the Texas Department of Public Safety is reviewing footage of an interaction between a state trooper and a college football player caught on camera. It happened at Saturday's matchup between Texas A&M and South Carolina. You can see the DPS trooper bump into Gamecocks wide receiver Nick Harbor and others. The heated exchange quickly spread on social media. It even caught the attention of NBA superstar LeBron James, who called out the trooper on X, saying he believed the nudge was premeditated and that the trooper should be suspended. In a statement, DPS writes, quote, "The trooper involved was sent home from the game. Our Office of Inspector General is also aware of the incident and will be further looking into the matter," end quote.
And really nothing's going to happen, more than likely. It did get national attention. It was going viral and things like that. More than likely, nothing's going to happen. But regardless, you know, there's a bigger lesson at hand because the Heavenly Father is going to have, you know, Esau really show his horns in these last days, you know, because a lot of Edomites, you know, they come through smiling, things like that. Some of them are just they're just suppressing their hatred because it's a civilized society. And they possibly, because not all the time, but possibly will be held accountable if they do just, you know, blow our heads off in the open or whatever, you know. But if he could found a justified reason to put a pounding on those jakes, or a fake justified reason, you know, maybe a legally justified reason to put a pounding on those jakes, he would have, you know, without a question. You know, but he's fine in life. There's nothing holding him in life. I'm sure he has straps. I'm sure he's, you know, fine in life, you know, financially and things like that. But he just still has a hatred for Jacob, an ancestral hatred for Jacob. Genesis 27, verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And he had that in his mind, you know. He went out of his way in that video to bump them. 27 moved out the way. And even if they bumped you, like it's a tight area, just, oh, my bad, you know, ain't nothing wrong with that, my bad, and keep moving. Even the Jakes, you know, they got bumped, but they still held their own composure. And these are people that are younger than him.
Texas A&M and South Carolina, you can see the DPS trooper bump into Gamecocks wide receiver Nick Harbor and others. The Texas A&M and South Carolina, you can see the DPS trooper bump into Gamecocks wide receiver Nick Harbor and others.
You know, but this goes back to this, and I think about this a lot. You know, I think about, you know, this whole story and this whole situation a lot because this is really the mindset of a lot of these people. You know, they have the money, they have everything, they have the family, they have everything stable, but they just still have an everlasting hatred. You can read this whole chapter, but I'll start here at 11. Esther, chapter 5, verse 11. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther, the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but by myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Right. So he had everything. He had everything. Okay, let me finish. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak that thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. Right. So he had everything. He had everything. Everything was, he had everything, riches, kids, family, everything. But the only thing that on his mind that he really cared about was his hatred for I believe that Mordecai was a Benjamite, and that's the mindset of some of these Edomites. They'll have money. They'll have more money than you or whatever, wives, kids, a wife, kids, healthy, living in great neighborhoods. But the fact that Jacob exists, and is still in the country or playing sports or whatever, or they see a picture of a Judite with a Edomite woman, it enrages them, and there's a lot of them like that. So that's just a little lesson, little thing that I saw. Stay prayed up, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. We won't be able to be succumbed to these people's hatred, because Esau is going to best believe when these last days break out and the society breaks down, a lot of these different Edomites, they're gonna get their issue. Remember, the Heavenly Father used them as a sword, so they're gonna be riding around. You see that in the Purge movie. They're gonna be riding around in them army jeeps, trucks, or whatever, UMVs, Humvees, or whatever they're called. Yeah, man, they're gonna be yelling Chahu and shooting in the air, all that stuff in them trucks. Esau will show you his horns, man. You see them different country dudes or some of them different dudes, yeah, they got them tattoos. They'll show you their horns. Don't think that it ain't in some of them. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Shalom.